Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Griefdrums, and in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the brand new attacker that has just been announced, Amaru. Now, I was fortunate enough that Ubisoft UK invited me down to their office to play test the new season, so I want to start by saying thank you to them, but we're going to jump in today and look at 5 tips and tricks that I think you need to know before you play Spider-Woman. Now, my initial impressions of this attacker was that it is just pure memes. That is all it's going to be. People are just going to be flying into the site at the speed of light, and then they're going to get a bullet straight to the face. However, I can see a little bit more scope for Amaru than just that. It's a lot more viable than I would have initially said. Yes, she is that meme operator, and people like Bikini and Marley are going to have a great time playing her. They're going to have a lot of fun. But I can also kind of see this as being one of those flex ops that you may potentially take in ranked. Is she going to be taken on every single site? Definitely not. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. As the bio states when the teasers were dropped, this is going to work really well for when you're not expecting it, for when you've forgotten that she's in the game. I can really see Amaru kind of being like Knock, where at the minute, everyone's expecting it, so it doesn't really work. But later on this season, I reckon she's going to catch a lot of people with their pants down. So as I say, what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to break down 5 tips that I kind of wish I would have known before I played her. They're the kind of things that as and when I was playing the op, I kind of had to figure them out myself, and they were things that realistically, if I'd have known from the get-go, I would have been off to a flying start. So tip number 1 for today is going to be the loadout. Now, the loadout with Amaru is one of the biggest things that you need to consider. She's got IQ's LMG, the G8A1, and she's got the Supernova shotgun that Hibana and Echo both run. They are the primaries, and the secondaries are Mirror and Jackal's shotgun and the SMG-11. Now, that is a pretty good loadout, and it gives her a lot of versatility. Interestingly, there are no new weapons, and I think this is going to become a common theme now. Following last season with Knock and Warden getting the same weapons that were already in game, this looks like it's going to be the meta going forward now for the devs. With that in mind, though, this loadout looks pretty good. I mean, the G8A1 isn't a bad rifle by any means. It's just that with IQ, she's got better weapons, kind of like Ash with the R4C and the G36. Both are extremely viable. It's just for the longest time, one was a lot better than the other one. When it comes to the loadout, though, there is something you need to consider. If you're taking the G8A1, I would recommend taking the shotgun as well. Now, my instant go-to pick was the G8A1 and the SMG-11, and that was mainly down to the fact I didn't see myself using the shotgun much. I didn't think it was going to fit her playstyle. However, once I started to play the game and think, you know what, I want to go through hatches, I soon found out that this doesn't open the hatches the way it does barricades. So instead, you need to open the hatch from below in order to utilize it. If you take the LMG, take the shotgun as a secondary, and if you're running the Supernova, take the SMG-11 as your secondary. Now, obviously, this isn't the only way to play her, and I spent most of the day not doing this, and it wasn't until the end of the capture session where I started to run into situations like this that I thought, you know what? If you divide her loadout into these 2 categories, and you're pretty much just presenting yourself with more options for how you can play Amaru. Tip number 2 for today is kind of going to be covering a bit of an obvious one, but it's one that you do need to consider. With the amount of meme value on offer here, it's very, very easy to just see a window and think, you know what? I'm going in. I don't care. I'm just going to jump in. I'm going to fly in. I'm going to wreck anyone that's there. And then this happens. You just get destroyed. And the reason for that is she cannot use her weapon while she is using her spider webs. As you land, you get stuck in this animation for like half a second, maybe a little bit more. But the fact that as you're flying through the air, the barricade opens and you make a load of noise, it's very easy for the defenders to just wait for you. And as soon as you come in and you're stuck in that animation, they're just going to put you down. Droning ahead, getting a little bit of intel is definitely not going to hurt. And if you've got a bit of an idea as to what you're going into, you're going to stand a better chance of not just being a clay pigeon that people are shooting. Now, there were a couple of occasions in which I did just go in through a window and I was lucky enough to catch people off guard, but it's not something you're going to want to rely on. You're not going to want to do this frequently. Trying to jump up through this hatch just here, as soon as I got up there, I just got wrecked. And if I'd have known that he was to that side, I could have flashbanged him beforehand. And in hindsight, I wish I had have done. As the day went on, I started to do this more and more. As and when I opened windows up, I would flashbang it first, and then I would start going in. Now, the real difficulty with this is we all know how bad flashbangs are in the game. And by the time you've shot out a window, thrown a couple of flashbangs in, the defender has hugged the corner and become instantly immune to flashbangs. Your mug then starts rappelling up into this window and you're met by a shotgun. It just doesn't work. So definitely put a drone in there first, at least get a bit of intel, or wait for your team to distract them and then come flying in. If there's a load of pressure coming in from the east side of site and no one's really watching the west side, there is nothing stopping you from then zipping in through a window towards the end of a round where people aren't expecting it. Doing this while the sound is covered by loads of gunshots, you're definitely going to surprise people. Tip number 3 for today is going to be drop kick people in the face. For those of you that are not aware, if you rappel in through a window and a defender is on the other side, if you make contact with them as you swing in, it automatically counts as a melee kill and they just die. They go down instantly. So we decided to try it with Amaru, and God, it had some funny reactions. It really did. The chance of this happening is going to be very, very low, and I am aware that that is the case. By the time the barricade is opened, any defender that is still stood there is going to be a bit of a lemon. But if the timing is right and you happen to be doing this just as that defender is trying to open the barricade or something, it's going to be hilarious. It's going to make for incredible clips, and quite frankly, it's going to bag you probably the easiest kill of your siege career. Tip number 4 about Amaru is the fact that she can rotate around the map so quick. This is probably the main selling point for Amaru for me. I've got to be completely honest with this. When I first saw her, as I say, I thought she was a bit memey, but after playing her a little bit, you kind of see how she could be used. By applying pressure to one side of the map and then quickly rotating to another, she could be quite good in those clutch situations, because as a defender, you think you know where they're attacking from, and you know roughly how long it's going to take for them to go all the way round to a different site, to attack from a different door. But with the speed that Amaru can transit across the map from one side to the other, I don't know, man. I think this is going to be a viable thing. This is going to be really, really difficult to deal with if she's played correctly by someone who's half decent. I mean, just imagine you're getting shot out from a single window and you're almost adamant that they're around there somewhere, and the next thing you know, they've gone all the way round the building and attacked you from the opposite side in the space of about 5 to 10 seconds. It's going to be insane, and it's going to be the best use for her. Now, you are going to have to be careful because she does only get 4 of these grappling hooks. They take a little bit of time to recharge, somewhere between like 5 and 8 seconds. It's not long at all, but that is something you do need to consider. If you're planning on zipping all around the map, try and make your shots count with this. Try and make sure that you can cover the most ground possible. Now, in this clip in the background, you can kind of see that I got into an engagement on the stairs, and I thought, you know what? He's got an advantage over me here. So I dipped back outside downstairs and then reappeared at a window upstairs on the same level as him. I pretty much just cut out that entire staircase and ended up getting a really cheeky wallbang on the dude. Now, at the minute, the only map that I have played her on is this one, the New Canal, which is amazing, by the way. It's so good. But I was sat next to ProleteR Pete at the creators capture event, and he came up with some really, really cool spots that you're going to be able to use in Amaru. And one of those kind of implements itself very, very well with this tip that I'm sharing now. The addition to transit across the map, he found that on Bank, you can actually use this grappling hook to get out of the skylights in the main lobby. Now, these are a part of the map that no one ever really uses. There's no real way to utilize them safely until now. But instead of viewing Amaru as this attacking operator that's just going to aggressively rush site every single time, what about the option to get out of dodge with this? If you find yourself getting pinched on the stairs by a couple of roamers, you can just jump up through skylights, or, you know, just get the hell out of there and go to somewhere else to live and fight another day. If you're in the main lobby of Bank and someone starts shooting at you from upstairs and they duck back into cover, instead of going and having to hide behind a pillar or a couch or something like that, you can just zip up through the roof and you're gone. Either way, I think creativity is going to be key with this operator. And that very tidily brings me round to tip number 5. Now, again, I am going to give full credit to ProleteR Pete for this, because he was running around on some of the older maps and trying stuff out to see what works and what doesn't. And as a defender, you're going to need to consider lots of different things. But as an attacker, if you think differently about the bomb sites, you are going to change the meta of the game. Some of the strongest sites for defenders are the ones that limit the ways the attackers can come from. The trophy room, for example, the only real way into the site is from the window or from the door on West Main. Yes, you can open up walls and stuff like that, but they are all choke points, and that's what makes the kitchen trophy so good as a site on this map. With the addition of Amaru being able to come up through hatches, through windows that were previously inaccessible, maps, bomb sites, and the meta itself could change quite significantly, and I can't wait to see what people come up with. I'm afraid that's going to be it for today's video. I do just want to shout out Ubisoft UK for inviting me down again, and ProleteR Pete for coming up with some of these really cool little strats for the ways you can use Amaru. Certainly on Bank, going up through the skylights, and on Chalet through that trophy window. 10 out of 10, dude. They're really cool ideas. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. If you did, please consider hitting that thumbs up. If you don't already, make sure to subscribe for all things Rainbow Six. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay reckless and relentless.